Marvel Comics, November 1964. There were 14 comics on the newsstand with that cover date. Stan Lee was leading the team. We're going to focus on the 10 superhero and monster-oriented genre titles today, starting with Amazing Spider-Man 18. This was the 191st Marvel Silver Age superhero comic on the newsstand since starting in 1961. This is a key issue. It features the first appearance of Ned Leeds. Also, the Fantastic Four make a cameo. It's the third appearance of the Sandman. Plus, we have early Daredevil and Avengers cameos. Steve Ditko cover and art. This ranks as the 13th most valuable first appearance Marvel comic of 1964. Print run estimated at 300,000 copies of this book. The census is really growing as Amazing Spider-Man is always the most highly collected Marvel title of the Silver Age. We have over 1,700 copies graded by CGC. There are 24 9.6s or higher for the super high grade copies. Heritage Auctions has sold 346 copies in the last 20 years. We have classic 12-cent cover price. And here we've got Spider-Man hiding from Sandman. Using the Overstreet price guide, we can look at a huge time period here and see, surprisingly, this book has had very little growth in raw copies in low grade. It's going up a little bit over time. In high grades, it's basically doubled in this time period. If you want to see how the super high grade copies and the CGC copies are doing, check out gpanalysis.com website. Also look at ebay.com and look at their ended sold listings to see what prices are being hit by the graded copies. On the census, we have a total of 6 9.8s and 18 9.6s. There are no UK price variants graded of this book. Also on the newsstands this month, we have Avengers number 10. This was one of Marvel's two big superhero teams at this time. This issue is a key issue featuring the first appearance of Immortus, ruler of Limbo. It has an early Hercules appearance and Baron Zemo and his Masters of Evil. Jack Kirby cover art, interior by Don Heck. Ranks 27th most valuable first appearance Marvel comic of 1964. Print run estimated at 200,000 copies. This book has a creamy white background cover, making it tough to find in high grade. On the census, there are 789 copies graded so far. Only 13 9.6s or higher. Heritage has sold 160 copies. We've got all the major key characters here on this nice cover. In the Overstreet price guide, the book has not yet doubled in this time period in low grade, but in high grade, the book has almost tripled in raw copies. On the census, there are only 4 9.8s and 9 9.6s. Only one of the UK price variants ever graded, and it grades an 8.0. Fantastic Four, number 32. This issue features the death of Dr. Franklin Storm, the father of the Human Torch and the Invisible Girl, and the FF battle with the Super Skrull, operating in disguise as the Invincible Man. Jack Kirby cover art here. Only 422 copies ever graded by CGC and 14 9.6s or higher. Heritage has sold 85 copies. Another white creamy background cover. In the Overstreet price guide, this book has been stalled in all grades for a number of years now, just not moving at all in the guide. There are 3 9.8s and 11 9.6s, no UK price variants ever graded of this book. Journey into Mystery 110 is yet another issue featuring the Mighty Thor. And this issue features Cobra and Mr. Hyde appearances. There is a Thor pinup. And this features Jack Kirby cover and art, another kind of creamy white background cover. Only 248 copies ever graded of this book, with a low 9 copies grading 9.6 or higher. Heritage has sold 59. In the Overstreet price guide, in this time period, you can see the lower grades have doubled, and the higher grades raw have more than tripled. Yet it's still a very affordable book in all conditions. There are no 9.8s of this book ever graded. There are 9 9.6s and no UK price variants of this book. Next, we have a unique book that was on the newsstands at the time, Monsters to Laugh With, number 2. This was released in magazine size format. In fact, this was the first Stan Lee Marvel magazine series. It only ran 3 issues under this title. It features photos from classic older horror movies. It's extremely undervalued compared to other Marvel comics of the time. Only 4 copies ever graded by CGC and only 1 super high grade 9.6 or higher. And Heritage has only ever sold 2 copies of this book with the red background cover. It hasn't been moving at all in the Overstreet price guide in the last few years. It's holding steady though. Only a $75 magazine in 9.2 raw. And you can see how rare the entire series is on the CGC census. Also out on the newsstands this month, we have Sgt Fury and his Howling Commandos number 12 with a Jack Kirby cover art. There's sort of a pale blue background cover. Dick Ayers and George Russo's interior art. Very few copies graded this one, only 97 in total, with 10 9.6s or higher. Heritage has sold 21 copies. In the Overstreet price guide, almost no movement at all on this book in low grades. It's only gone up $1 in 17 years. But in higher grades, the book has doubled in raw, but it's also been stalled for a couple of years now. There are 1 9.8 and 9 9.6s of this book. No UK price variants graded at all of this issue. Strange Tales 126 was also in the newsstands with the first appearance of Clea, though she goes unnamed in the story in the Doctor Strange multi-part story. Human Torch and the Thing battle the Mad Thinker and the Puppet Master. We have a Jack Kirby cover art on this as well. He was sure busy this month. Print run estimated at 215,000 copies of this book. It's really jumped up in the census lately. Now 756 copies graded, but only 12 9.6 or higher. Heritage has now sold 110 of these. A dark bluish purpley cover background. In the Overstreet price guide, this book has gone crazy. This is a major key. It's been heating up for a while now, especially in the last 7 years. You can see the book has gone up about 7 times in low grades, and in high grades, it's gone up about 12 times, skyrocketing from $85 to almost $1,200 in 9.2 raw in this time period. There are only 2 9.8s and 10 9.6s, no UK price variants at all of this book graded. This next issue is a major key. It's Tales of Suspense 59. This is the issue which begins the double features in every issue of Iron Man and Captain America together. And this is the first solo Captain America story since 1954. The issue features the first appearance of Jarvis the Butler. And we have another Jack Kirby cover. Print run estimated at 207,000 copies on this book. Again, the census is growing rapidly. There's over 1,100 copies graded, 35 9.6s or higher. Amazing that there's so many super high grade copies in existence. That might be the highest of any book so far of this year for Marvel issues. Heritage has sold 212. And there we got the 2 iconic covers on the cover together. In the Overstreet price guide, it has not doubled in this time period in low grades, but in high grades, it has more than doubled. There are 16 9.8s and 19 9.6s of this key book, but no UK price variants of this book. Also on the newsstands this very month, Tales to Astonish 61. It's the second Giant Man and Hulk double feature book. Henry Pym's archenemy Egghead makes an appearance. First appearance of Major Glenn Talbot. Cover by Jack Kirby and interior by Steve Ditko. Print run estimated at 207,000 copies. Another white cream background cover, tough to find in high grade. Only 189 copies graded of this book with 8 9.6s or higher. Heritage has sold 49 copies. In the Overstreet price guide, again, very affordable book in all grades. Not much movement at all in low grades, but it has more than doubled in high grades raw. There are 2 9.8s and 6 9.6s. 4 of the UK price variants graded, the highest being an 8.0. And X-Men number 8 was on the newsstands this very month, featuring Marvel's other great newer superhero team. First appearance of Eunice the Untouchable. We have another Jack Kirby cover. Print run estimated 200,000 copies on this book. Another creamy white background cover. Quite a bold, striking cover on this one. Census again really growing on this one, almost 1,200 copies. but only 19 9.6s or higher. Heritage has now sold 220 copies. Overstreet, very little movement in low grades in this huge time period, but the book has doubled in high grades raw. On the census, we have 3 9.8s, 16 9.6s, and none of the UK price variants have been graded. Now let's compare these 10 books on the census and see which ones are the rare ones, which ones have been graded the most, which are the ones that most dealers are focusing on. So by far the one with the most graded copies is Amazing Spider-Man 18, and that seems to be what the trend every single month. After that, it's X-Men number 8, because that's also a highly collected series, and Tales of Suspense 59, because it's such a key issue, has a lot of copies graded. After that, the numbers drop down significantly. Monsters to Laugh With only has 4 copies graded, and Tales to Astonish 61, very low at 189. Looking at the highest graded copies, all of these books have a 9.8, except Journey into Mystery 110 does not. If you look at which have the most 9.6s or higher, it looks like it is Tales of Suspense 59, but also X-Men number 8 is quite high, as is Spider-Man 18. On the low end, of course, Monsters to Laugh With 2 only has the 1 high-grade copy. Tales to Astonish is quite low with only 8 super high-grade copies. There you go. That's all the Marvel comics on the newsstands for the cover date of November 1964, which means they were actually in the newsstands in August 1964. We do this every single week, so please subscribe to this channel, and I'd like to thank you for watching.